Hi my dear students, welcome to my biology class. Today we are going to learn about sexual reproduction in angiosperms. Angiosperms are the highest category of plants which are flowering plants. That means these plants produce flowers. Which are the most attractive parts of a plant? Of course, they are flowers. Flowers are in different colors and they produce pleasant fragrance. Why do they produce pleasant fragrance? To attract the insects. The insects collect the nectar from different flowers. At the same time, they facilitate pollination between the plants. Plants can produce two types of flowers. Those are unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers. So, flowers are of two types. Unisexual and bisexual. Unisexual means the flower has either stamen or carpel. Stamen is the male reproductive organ, while carpel is the female reproductive organ of a flowering plant. So, unisexual flowers are the flowers that contain either stamen or carpel. Carpel is also known as pistil. What about bisexual flowers? The bisexual flowers have both the stamen and the carpel, both the male and female reproductive organs in the same flower. So, both stamen and pistil or carpel are present. Unisexual flowers, for example, watermelon and papaya. That means watermelon in the male plant it produces male flowers, in the female plant it produces female flowers. So, like that papaya, male papaya flowers and female papaya flowers. The male papaya flowers contains the male sex organ or reproductive organ, that is stamen. The female papaya flower contains the female reproductive organ, that is carpel or pistil. Bisexual flower example, mustard and hibiscus. Now, let's study the parts of a flower with the help of a specimen. Look at here, it is a hibiscus flower and it has the most attractive part. Those are called petals. Below this you can see the green part, those are known as sepals. The flower is attached to the stem by pedicel. As it is a bisexual flower, it contains both stamen and carpel. It means that both the male and female reproductive organs are present in the same flower. Take the longitudinal section of the hibiscus flower. We can see the internal structure, the reproductive organs. This is the longitudinal section of the hibiscus flower. Now let's study the parts of a flower with the help of a diagram. This is the longitudinal section of a bisexual flower. The flower has the most attractive part, those are known as petals. Okay, the green part is called sepals. As it is a bisexual flower, it has both stamen and carpel. This is the carpel, the pink color carpel. The carpel has three parts: the swollen ovary, the longitudinal style and the sticky stigma. Okay, this part is called ovary and the elongated tubular part is called the style, and the upper part consists of sticky stigma. Okay, the stigma, style and ovary are the three main parts of the carpel or pistil. This is the reproductive organ, the female reproductive organ of the flower. The ovary consists of ovules. Each ovule carries one female germ cell or female gamete. And the blue part represents the stamen, that is the male reproductive organ. The stamen has filament with the anther. This is called the filament, and this box-like structure called anther. The anther consists of the fine powdered structures called pollen grains, yellowish powdered structure called pollen grains. Okay, these are the parts of a bisexual flower. And once again look at the board, which are the male reproductive organ, stamen. Stamen has an elongated part called filament and a box-like structure called anther. The anther consists of fine powdered structure called pollen grains. Each pollen grain carries a male gamete or a male germ cells. Okay, this is called a stamen, that is the male reproductive organ. The female reproductive organ is carpel or pistil. It has the solen ovary with the ovules. This is the ovary. Then ovule, each ovule has female germ cells and the elongated tubular part called the style, and the anterior part is called stigma. This is a structure of a carpel or pistil, the female reproductive organ. Now let's study about pollination. Why the insects are attracted towards the plants or to the flowers? The insects are attracted towards the flowers because of the fragrance and also the beautiful colors. They reach at the flowers and collect the nectar from the flowers, and at the same time they facilitate or they help in pollination, or they work as an agent of pollination. Then what is pollination? The process of transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. That is called pollination. So now let's study about pollination. Then what is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. It can be taken directly without any agents, but in the most cases the pollination takes place with the help of pollinating agents like wind, water, insects, animals, even the human beings, etc. So these are known as, these animals or these living beings are the agents of pollination, as they facilitate or as they help in transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another flower. Pollination is of two types. Those are self-pollination and cross-pollination. Look at the diagram. This is a bisexual flower. Usually the self-pollination takes place in the bisexual flower as it has both stamen and carpel. Here the transfer of pollen grains takes place from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. So pollen grains transfer from where? Anther to stigma of the same flower. Okay, look at the diagram. So the pollen grains are here. the transfer of pollen grains from here to the stigma takes place in the same flower. So it need not to go to any other place or any other flowers, as it is a bisexual flower. Both reproductive organs are present in the same flower. So such type of pollination is called self-pollination. It does not require agents. It may happen in the same flower between two flowers that are near to each other. Okay. So the next one, cross pollination. Here the transfer of pollen grains takes place from the anther to the stigma of two different flowers. So look at the diagram. This is one pink flower, this one the orange flower. So the transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another flower, from the anther of this flower to the stigma of another flower. So here also it consists of anther, means suppose this will be the male flower and next one will be female flower. So what happens, from the male flower the pollen grains transfer from the anther to the stigma of the female flower. Such type of pollination is called cross pollination. So cross pollination can be occurred in different varieties of the plants which come under the same category. That means they belong to the same species. For example, different colored hibiscus plants, means white hibiscus flowers and red hibiscus flowers, so that the cross pollination may be occurred in between these two flowers. So did you get the difference, the self pollination and cross pollination? Cross pollination definitely requires the agents like water, wind, animals, etc. But in the case of self pollination, it does not require agents, as it takes place in the same flower. Now let's study how the fertilization takes place in the flowering plants. What is fertilization? It is the fusion of male gamete with the female gametes. So look at the diagram. This is the diagrammatic view of the carpel. The carpel has the swollen part ovary. The ovary consists of ovules. Each ovule has the female gamete or the female germ cell, and the tubular part style, and the upper or anterior part the stigma. So this is the diagrammatic view of the germination of pollen on the stigma. So when a suitable pollen grain, this is the pollen grain, when a suitable pollen grain stick on the stigma of the flower, that means pollen grains that come from the male flower and it sticks on the suitable stigma of the same flower. The pollen grain of the rose flower will never fertilize with the stigma of another species of flower. So the suitable pollen grain should be reached over the stigma for facilitating, for inducing the fertilization. When it is attached on the stigma, what happens? A pollen tube arises from the pollen grain. Each pollen grain carries the male gamete. Okay, so when a pollen tube is formed, it grows downwards and it grows continuously throughout the length of the style, and finally it is reached to the ovary, and finally it is reached into the ovule for fertilization. So the male gamete is transported through this pollen grain and finally it is reached to the that ovary, and it consists of ovule. Each ovule has what? Female gamete, and fertilization takes place in the ovule. So the fertilization of the male gamete of the pollen grain fuses with the female gamete that is present inside the ovule. It results in the formation of a zygote. Okay, this zygote undergoes division and finally develops as an embryo. The ovule forms as the embryo. That means after fertilization, the zygote would develop into embryo and it forms as, suppose this is an ovule, it contains an embryo, it forms as the tough covering called the seed coat. And around the seed coat, the ovary and other associated parts would become as the fleshy part of the vegetable or fruit. The other part would become as fleshy part of the vegetable or fruit. And the stamen, sepal, petals, that style, stigma, everything will shrivel and fall off from the plant. And finally, the seed with the fleshy part will get from the particular plant after the fertilization. So this is the way fertilization takes place in the flowering plants. Then what's the result of fertilization? A seed. A seed actually contains a seed coat. The seed coat encloses the embryo, the future plant. When the seed is kept in appropriate conditions such as appropriate moisture, temperature and in oxygen, the seed germinates. That means the seed would develop into seedling. This process is called germination. Look at here. This is the diagrammatic view of the dicotyledonous seed. The dicotyledonous seed means the seed has two cotyledons. For example, pea, gram, tamarind, etc. During germination, it develops into the future shoot, the plumule, and the future root, a radicle. That means the plumule develops into shoot or stem of the plantlets, while the radicle would develop into the root system of the plant. The cotyledon actually carries the nutrients that is required for the plant growth, the future plant. Okay, so it should develop its stem, leaves, etc. by utilizing the nutrients that is stored in the cotyledons. So today we have learnt about the parts of a flower, types of flower, types of pollination, fertilization and germination of seeds. I hope you have understood the topic well. With this, I conclude my session. Thank you and have nice moments.